the Bitcoin 2021 conference. It's been a week since we were both there in Miami, largest crypto conference ever. And it was a very unique event, lots of energy, but probably one of the most significant developments was the announcement by the president of El Salvador that he is making Bitcoin legal tender. Now, since then, the country's parliament passed a historic bill by an overwhelming majority, and now Bitcoin is legal tender in El Salvador, meaning that Bitcoin will have equal footing with the dollar, which became its official currency 20 years ago. And making Bitcoin legal tender means that shops and businesses must accept it for goods and services, and they can choose to express prices in the currency. So what do you think the implications of this are?
So obviously that's great news, and we were both in Miami. I think the community was super excited about that. We had the president appear during the conference with kind of promising to get this passed, and it's great to hear that it actually got done. I think worldwide we're going to see this happening again and again because many countries will have to make a choice. Do they continue to print money? Do they peg themselves to the dollar? Or do they offer their customers the freedom to go and choose other options, like, for example, paying in Bitcoin or Ethereum or some other, crypto asset?
All right. Well, one of the issues, of course, by using it as an actual functioning currency is the volatility in the price. I mean, if you have Bitcoin as legal tender, which means shops and businesses need to accept it for goods and services, how can it function as a currency with all the volatility?
Sure. So Bitcoin historically has not been a great form of payment, right? The US dollar is a phenomenal form of payment. It's a horrible store of value. And Bitcoin is exactly the opposite. It's a phenomenal store of value and a bad form of payment. So I think Bitcoin needs to mature. It's going to probably take 5 to 10 years for it to mature and stabilize. Until now, anyone who made any payment in Bitcoin of the last 12 years is probably sorry about that because they would have rather kept that Bitcoin and used their fiat. And at Celsius, that's what we offer you, right? We offer you to basically borrow fiat against your stablecoin, against your Bitcoin in the form of a stablecoin of a fiat currency, pay your bills, do whatever you need to do, but hodl that Bitcoin.
All right, so to your point, Alex, Bitcoin is a better asset than it is a currency. And there is some debate on whether we should be regarding Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency or a crypto asset, as a store of value. And that's the position that many like Michael Saylor take, that it is indeed a store of value, that it's an asset like a treasury reserve. And they've also made the case that it being seen as an asset rather than a functioning currency reduces the threat that it poses to governments and central banks, and therefore reduces the threat of more severe crackdowns. But now with El Salvador using it as a currency, what does that mean? Because we're already hearing from the IMF saying that it has a number of economic and legal concerns. JP Morgan saying that a sovereign country recognizing it as legal tender has mechanical implications for its treatment in much larger economies under tax law, banking, and financial regulation. So if it is a currency, is it a bigger threat to central banks? And does this open the way for a more severe crackdown?
So, I want to differentiate between central banks and banks in general. So banks in general see Bitcoin definitely as a huge threat because it endangers their monopoly and their ability to effectively create money out of thin air. So obviously most banks are going to be against such practices, and many central bank leaders come from the banking industry, so they basically sing the same song, right? So I think most of the kind of centralized or traditional finance world is definitely looks at this as unstable and threatening, unproven technology. At the same time, the people worldwide are seeing, they're fed up of seeing rates being manipulated, seeing banks effectively have predatory practices, banks never being held responsible, especially after the 2008 collapse. where just a year later, bankers were paid all-time record bonuses. So all these things are what's driving the Bitcoin revolution. And governments, including central banks worldwide, effectively represent the interest of the people. And if the people are voting for Bitcoin, central banks need to follow and deliver what the people are asking for.